Vampire-themed video games don't come around often. If you check Wikipedia's list, there are roughly 110 vampire games released between 1979 and now. That's on average only about 2 to 3 games a year for the last 45 years. While this figure may appear low, it accurately reflects the niche nature of vampire-themed games in the broader gaming industry. That's why every new vampire game gets our fangs out in anticipation, hoping it will finally do justice to the wonderfully rich yet criminally underutilized dark world of vampires. And now, from the minds of former CD Projekt veterans, people who brought us The Witcher series, Cyberpunk 2077, Thronebreaker, and Shadow Warrior 2, comes a brand new original IP. And this is what we currently know about it. So, first things first, the facts. The Blood of Dawnwalker is a single-player, third-person, narrative-driven action RPG with an open-world structure. It's set in Vale Sangora, a fictional valley inspired by 14th century Eastern Europe. The game promises a dynamic day-night cycle and is being developed on Unreal Engine 5, which should deliver stunning visuals and atmospheric environments. Given that this is an RPG developed by Rebel Wolves, a newly formed studio composed of veterans with a proven track record, it's only natural to have high expectations for player agency and freedom. And as it stands, the developers have emphasized their commitment to offering plenty of ways to solve problems, ensuring that every approach feels valid and rewarding, with no definitive right or wrong way to play. As of now, there's no release date since the game is still in the alpha stage of development. We'll know more on January 13th, 2025 though, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and stay up to date. What we do know, however, is that the game will launch on both PCs and consoles and will be published by Bandai Namco.
So this should be different, hopefully.
The Blood of Dawnwalker will be the first installment in a planned saga, and what this saga is about is something we'll attempt to explore in this video, using all the available evidence and hints. From what's been teased so far, the game is almost certainly inspired by vampire lore. However, if you're here only for a quick summary, feel free to use the chapter markers to skip ahead. Vale Sangora literally translates to the Blood Valley, or the Valley of Blood. As a remote, fictional setting, it provides fertile ground for world building, full of unique hierarchies, societal dynamics, and supernatural threats. With its heavy vampire symbolism, which we'll get into shortly, the name suggests a cursed or blood-soaked land, corrupted by dark magic. And the fact that this is a brand new IP, they're not bound by some existing lore or preconceived notions. It's a world built from scratch. That's exciting. The developer's Twitch stream has provided the best look at this world thus far, displaying a day and night cycle of the environment in a looping animation that will continue until the official reveal on January 13th. Vale Sangora feels intensely atmospheric, a cold, windswept valley surrounded by jagged mountains. The environment appears untamed and primal, like the line between the human and animal world blurs a little, evoking that classic dark fantasy vibe where nature itself feels alive or hostile. A walled settlement in the center and a castle above it dominate the region, hinting at a feudal society where protection is paramount. Early pre-alpha graybox blockouts show the settlement layout clearly. A church sits in the middle, emphasizing themes of faith, light versus darkness, and sanctuary from unholy forces. Historically, churches were seen as bastions against creatures like vampires and werewolves, but in this game, well, we can't be sure of its role yet. Overlooking this village is a massive castle, likely the seat of power for a ruler or ruling faction who holds sway over the valley's fate, which we'll discuss later. Scattered around the valley are additional structures, barely visible but resembling smaller castles, military outposts, or various villages. These suggest the valley is inhabited and possibly politically fragmented. Could this hint at different factions of Vale Sangora? I'd bet these locations will serve as quest hubs or tie into side narratives. One important feature, if not the most important, is the day-night cycle. While it remains unknown how this will affect gameplay as of yet, it is probably tied to some major game mechanic or system. Is this likely to be among the key features they present at the reveal? And perhaps most importantly, who are we going to play as? We can begin to understand who or what the Blood of Dawnwalker means by looking at the official title, which is full of implications. This analysis is further strengthened by a letter the developers shared with select content creators, confirming key insights into the game's themes and world building. The blood suggests lineage, sacrifice, or some kind of ancestral power passed down through generations. Blood could also imply a curse, a rite, or something that fuels Protagonist's abilities. The name of the protagonist, Cohen, is rooted in history, carrying associations with strength and honor that further emphasize the weight of this lineage. Now, Dawnwalker is where things get interesting. We know that evil and most monsters are associated with night and darkness. Vampires traditionally fear the dawn.
Children of the night.
So a Dawnwalker might be a vampire-like being immune to sunlight, which makes them unique and powerful. In this case, a Dawnwalker could literally be someone with a unique connection to cycles of light, darkness, and blood. That could be the main protagonist, or even an ancient faction that plays a key role in Vale Sangora. The game's logo, a worn metallic brooch, gives more context. In medieval Europe, brooches often symbolized allegiance to specific groups, from religious orders to noble factions. The inscription Peregrini Aurore, which translates to the Pilgrims of Dawn, or simply Dawnwalkers, along with the matching engravings on his sword, suggests that the protagonist might belong to this mysterious faction. The brooch's circular design features distinct dark and light sides, symbolizing duality: day versus night, sun versus moon, heroism versus monstrosity, or ultimately life versus death. Cohen's clawed hand and the runic carvings on his arm bring these dualities to life, suggesting an internal struggle tied to a curse, perhaps lycanthropy or something similarly transformative. While the thematic focus seems to lean heavily on a vampire-human hybrid, as indicated by the fanged teeth in this image, these clawed features suggest that the developers might not shy away from introducing other supernatural elements, including werewolves. And in a setting where supernatural creatures are common or feared, the protagonist, with his distinct powers, may be the only one of their kind or even the last in their lineage. Their very existence might disrupt the current natural order, making them hunted, revered, or both. Cohen's role as the one born under the sun but destined to discover what's hidden under the moon emphasizes this disruption. His journey will likely explore the tension between retaining his humanity and embracing the power he deems a curse, offering players a morally gray and emotionally charged experience. Which brings us to the next important thing we need to talk about. In this cursed valley, knowledge is power. So hit the like and subscribe buttons and let the bell guide us to the next revelation. The teaser trailer ends with the haunting line, "The world needs what it fears." To me, this strongly implies that the protagonist is not just a savior, but also a source of dread for those they aim to protect, someone wielding a dark, forbidden force. Developers have also revealed a few pieces of cryptic lore, such as the following snippet you see here. That's all the developers have teased us with so far, and each day adds more details, giving it deeper context. But what does all this imply? Is there anything we can truly glean from it? To be honest with you, not enough to confidently say what we're up against. Shepherd is a religious metaphor for someone or something in power, and in this context, it's causing great suffering and needs to be stopped. This could be an oppressive ruling figure controlling and manipulating the land whose actions would likely have ripple effects across the game's world, creating factions of loyalists, rebels, and opportunists, as we can see in one of the concept art images. This group of soldiers on the right looks like they are primed for a fight against a bloodied, muscular figure clinging to a rocky cliff and surrounded by bats. And I'm 99% positive that this figure is our protagonist, as one of his arms, which ends with a long, unnatural claw, is depicted in several other official key art images. One of the soldiers notably has demonic features such as horns, hinting at the blending of human and monstrous entities. They all bear huge bat-like emblems on their armor and banners. Now, based on these details, is it too far-fetched to presume that the leader to whom these soldiers are loyal is someone from a higher order of vampires, someone who views humans as, I don't know, cattle? Vampires are often depicted as charismatic yet domineering figures, capable of bending others to their will through manipulation or outright mind control.
Was it something that I said?
The emblem could be a mark of fear, used to intimidate and control the people of Vale Sangora. If our protagonist is indeed what the world fears, they might oppose this emblem not just as an individual, but as the face of a larger rebellion, bringing hope into this forsaken world. But this, among other unknowns, is something we'll probably have answers to in a matter of days. The Blood of Dawnwalker is shaping up to be a dark fantasy experience with an emphasis on lineage, duality, and cycles. The connection to celestial bodies like the moon and sun suggests a world where natural forces and supernatural entities are deeply intertwined. The studio's name, logo design, and glimpses of concept art all hint at a rich vampiric lore and a protagonist caught in a struggle between light and darkness. A Dawnwalker could be a rare hybrid, straddling the line between vampires and humanity. This hybrid nature might grant the player unique abilities, heightened senses, strength, transformations, and the gameplay could revolve around harnessing these powers while managing their drawbacks such as bloodlust or uncontrollable anger. Whether the player embraces their monstrous side, resists it, or becomes something entirely new will likely be central to the game's story. This theory about us being a half-vampire, half-mortal reminds me of another such supernatural being, but there is only a slight problem.
There's only been one blade. There's only ever going to be one blade.
Jokes aside, I believe the Blood of Dawnwalker will avoid a cheap blade knockoff, especially since the antagonist's role we discussed earlier hints at broader political or theological conflicts, elevating the narrative beyond simple vampire hunting. Vale Sangora might be on the brink of collapse, torn apart by ancient supernatural forces with the player as the key to salvation or destruction. The upcoming reveal will likely showcase atmospheric landscapes, morally complex storytelling, and mechanics tied to celestial cycles or transformations. These are just my interpretations based on the hints and evidence available, and I fully admit that I could be wrong about some of them. But that's the fun of theory crafting. Piecing together the clues and speculating about what's to come is half the adventure.
There is no Carol in HR.
So, what's your take on the game with the little info we have right now? Are you excited, or are you holding off judgment until we get more details? Drop your comments down below. With the official reveal coming on January 13th, we'll finally see how much of these speculations are on the mark. Until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay in the loop as we dive deeper into this mysterious and haunting adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.